Hi friends, this is Amira. I am bringing you a new video. This is a Wednesday walkthrough of a new deck. I apologize for the lack of sound. I recorded this video and then when I got to the end and was starting to edit, I realized I hadn't plugged in the microphone. So I'm just adding a little voiceover on top of it and we will go from here. A quick side note on this, I'm not going to have a new deck to walk through every single Wednesday, but I do plan to do this at least once a month. So please look forward to that. Now with that out of the way, let's jump right in. This is the Sleepwalker's Tarot. I came across this as I was strolling through Etsy, seeing what was available to offer. I have not bought any decks for a few years now, and so I thought now is a good time to get something new. This art style really appealed to me, and I thought, why not give it a shot? So I'm just sort of thumbing through this guidebook. It's also got a nice flip top box. And here we go with some cards. We're starting in order here. We've got the Fool to start with. And I'm just really loving the bright, vivid colors of this deck. It's really different from everything that I have. I am loving the cartoon vibe. And what I'm doing here is I'm setting out two piles. One, I'm just regularly flipping over cards. The second one, the pile on the far right, is ones that I think might be in the running for my favorite cards of this particular deck. So I like to come up with 5 or 6 favorite cards, and I will of course show those at the end. So the cards that I lay down on the far right are the ones that I'm considering for that honor of being a favorite. And I'm just going through and kind of choosing these. I really enjoy this Lover's card. I specifically like the angel at the top, kind of blessing or overlooking their union. Oh boy, though, this Strength card. So many times you see a lion on the Strength card. And I really loved, and I finally realized that, yeah, I do need to do a close-up on these. And I just love that one, so that's definitely going in as a favorites contender. And this Hermit card is really different. I'm intrigued by all of the hands that you see going on here, so that is part of what I really appreciate. I kind of feel that way as an introvert sometimes. Oh, just want to get away from the world, and it keeps on reaching out to me. Love all the colors. Justice is very nice. The Hanged Man. I do love kind of the artistic pose that's going on there. The Death card. Temperance. What I love about this card is like the line of that cloak. I think it's just really unique in how it's kind of framing a little bit the word temperance at the top. I think that's cool. Got lots of good cards. Definitely enjoying this deck. And here we have the Moon. I like the wolf and dog. I have 2 dogs, so I definitely appreciate dogs on cards. The Sun. Judgment. The World. And now we get to the Ace of Wands. And we're just going to look through here and see what I see. I have to say I am such a fan of the pops of orange throughout this deck. But I also love the purple and the blue. And this really came up as, oh, with this 5, I thought this was a very unique and interesting take on the Five of Wands. Also, have I mentioned the feel of this cardstock? It's got a really nice texture. It's a linen texture, and I really kind of love it. I like the angel being the one to ward off coming at them. That one, you can tell, is a very hard won battle there. And this, oh goodness. Like almost, that figure is almost on the ground with how much they're weighed down. And we're getting to the court. And of course, I'm going to like this one because we have a little dog here. What can I say? I do. I love dogs. Now here, this King of Wands, I'm really intrigued by this because so often you see the lion on the strength card, but you see it here, and I wasn't sure if the flame is like coming from the lion or if the king is like leaving the fire in his wake, but either way, it's really cool. And I love the king's attitude. Just, oh, another day, another another moment where I'm wielding my power. And this card kind of floored me. Like, I love the different angle of those swords. That Two of Swords, it's so different. And here I was just fascinated by the fact that this figure is orange. It's very like they're walking through the black and white and of course gray dream world, and they're this orange figure. That was really interesting to me. I don't know much about the creator of this deck, but I'm certainly intrigued and want to know more. So that's something that I'm going to look into a little bit. That's a fairly classic depiction of the Eight of Swords. The Nine, I really liked all the swords pointing downward. That was a very interesting way of, adding direction to the card. And this one I thought was interesting because, like, the blood, it would normally be red, but it's coming out blue. You can see there's blue coming out. And I thought that kind of depicts the dream world, how, it wasn't necessarily real. But yeah, it was an intriguing little tidbit. And you can interpret that in a few ways, I'm sure. Now we're moving on to the cups. It's a fairly standard Three of Cups. And now we have the Five of Cups. I was stumped for a minute trying to find the fifth card. Eventually I found it. Oh, these cherubs. So cute. Yeah, I was bemused by the little cherubs. This card I just found so fascinating. So I'm gonna swap it. I'm gonna add it to the possible favorites. This one was really nice with the pathway leading off into the horizon. And here we have more disembodied arms. So we saw that in the Hermit card, and we're seeing it here too, and I was really quite intrigued by that. And if that was going to be explained in the guidebook. And the Queen of Cups. Again, I found this interesting. So I'm going to just put it off to the side. It's not really a favorite, but I just moved it off to the side so I could look it up in the guidebook to see what they had to say about her being wrapped in whatever that is, cords. And now we're at the pentacles. I'm just doing a quick search. I feel like I saw someone dressed like that in a previous card, so I wondered if it was the Fool. But nope. And I was intrigued by this depiction as well, so I'm going to plop this over in the potential favorites. And let me also mention that I like the design on the back. That eye in the middle. It's a wide open eye, despite this being full of sleepwalkers who have their eyes closed. Which is really interesting. It's an interesting idea. Because, you know, when you do a tarot reading, you're trying to open your eyes to something new. So I thought that was a fun concept to include on a tarot deck. So now I'm noticing that we have some extra cards in the back. Some alternate cards. So I have the Hermit, and then there's also the High Priestess. So I'm just going to decide which of the variation I like better. And in one sense, I really like the background on this card on the left. But I just am so, like, I love the idea of those arms reaching out to try and get to the Hermit there. So I'm going to go with that one. With this one, oh, it was a tough choice. Like, to be honest, I really like both of them. Like, I could see myself switching out with the other card at some point, just for variation. Like, I feel like I could really, I couldn't go wrong with either of these options. We'll put it that way. But I am going to choose the Priestess on the right. And these last two cards are not actually alternates. They are additional cards. One is called Sleepwalker. And one is called Sober. So I'm going to set those off to the side. Now this leaves me with a nice little pile of cards, and I want to either go through the guidebook and look at those, or I want to narrow down to my favorites. So I am sorry, but I'm not going to read these out. I'm just going to let you pause and take a look at these cards, or at the definitions. So feel free to pause the guidebook and read the definition for yourself. An interesting thing that it mentioned about the Sober card, though, was that it's the only card with the character who has eyes that are open. And it's kind of hard to see. But yeah, the sober individual is embracing the angel in sleep, but she has her eyes open. All right, so time to choose the favorites. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. My little tarot reading space is in progress. I have a place that I want to put it, but I need to move some things first. So it's taking up a very temporary residence in my crafting room. It will be a fine space temporarily, but I do have some things I need to do before I can set up the permanent space. So I'm definitely putting that Two of Swords over there. in the ultimate favorites. And I'm just going to look up this hermit because I want to see what the guidebook has to say about the disembodied arms. So go ahead and feel free to pause and check that out. I'll do better next time. I really wish that I had plugged in my microphone before so I didn't have to redo anything. Now, the guidebook does mention something about the Queen of Cups kind of being trapped by herself, and I thought that was an interesting take on the idea. Again, feel free to pause if you want to go ahead and read that description. Now, with this dog, this is where I admitted to myself that yes, it's in this pile because of the dog. I mean, the queen is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I didn't feel like that necessarily justified that. I did want to take a look at the guidebook just to see what it mentioned, and basically it was fairly typical. Now again, we've got disembodied arms here, and I thought that was interesting. The guidebook mentioned how those are her hands. She's juggling all of that, which I thought was an interesting take on that card. And I am going to go ahead and put that one in the favorites. So I'm realizing, okay, I have 4 cards in my favorites pile. 5 or 6 is about what I like to go for. As cute as it is, I'm going to pass it up. This one, I just couldn't get over the swagger. Could not get over the king's swagger. So those end up being in my favorites. Okay, here we go. We've got my favorites from the Sleepwalker's Tarot. Strength, 2 of Swords, the Hermit, 9 of Cups. And we've got the King. And yeah, these are my favorites, and I am liking these. So I am going to do a few readings. I'm going to basically use this set for the rest of the month, and I'm just going to do however many readings I feel inclined to do, because I really want to get familiar with this deck, get comfortable with this deck, and put it to good use. So I'm going to do some readings, but not today. But I am going to go ahead and shuffle. I am not the best shuffler in the world, but this cardstock does feel a little bit stiff, and that's probably just because I need to work it a bit more. Oh, and it does have a nice gilding on it. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle hand over hand here. And I thought maybe I should pull out a card and see what I think there. And as I shuffle, you'll see that a card falls out. I'm not one of those readers who feels like every card has to, that I, lay down has to be one that falls out. But when a card does jump out like that, I do show an interest in it. And that was the Ace of Wands, which I thought was really appropriate because this is an endeavor that I'm doing here. And so that is a great card to start off on. And I already ordered a little pouch from Etsy with the kind of box that this deck comes in. I really like it, but when you open it, I just worry that you could put a lot of wear on it when you open and close it a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and put it into this charming little bag that I found on Etsy. I just love it. It's really nice. It's got a nice quilted lining and the colors were just perfect. It's got the orange, the purple, the blue, everything that was in the deck. It's like this pouch was made for it, and it wasn't. I literally just went to the site, found it online, and yeah, just decided it was the perfect fit. So I'm going to go ahead and put the alternate cards back in the box, store the box, and put the deck in the pouch. So in upcoming videos, I'll go ahead and use this deck in a few readings, and we'll see how it is to play with. I am definitely excited to get started and then share how things go. See you in the next video. Bye.